Alrighty, so hi everyone. So on my updates video, Allison Williams asked me about conventions. She wants to see Andy. Now, some of you probably know that you know I've been going to conventions for say probably like the last 12 years or so. Yeah. Anyway, I've been going for a long time, and not just conventions, but many different kinds. So I've been to, the Wizard Worlds, obviously San Diego Comic Con, Fangoria, Dragon Con. I haven't been there in a long time though, but went there a couple of years. Um, some other smaller ones probably I can't think of, but like the big ones are, the biggest one is San Diego, followed by Dragon Con. San Diego Comic Con is very celebrity heavy, and Dragon Con is it's more party oriented and probably the best cosplay you'll ever see. And then the Wizard Worlds span from coast to coast. Those are more accessible, I think. I've gone to the one in Chicago every year for the last 12 years or so, and I might not be able to make it to this one, so that's kind of sad. Never been to a Walker Stalker. Oh yeah, C2E2 is another one that's in Chicago as well. And some of you might know that Fangirl, my novel, my first novel anyway, is based on some of my convention experiences. And I wrote that back when I was a newbie. That was 2012 when that book came out. Find on Amazon. Anyway, if I were to write a book today, I have so much more knowledge about conventions and how to survive them. So I'm just going to give a quick tip about conventions. If you've never been, there's usually one you can find that's local, but if you find that you have to travel, and so as to not overwhelm yourself, like you have to work up to certain conventions. Like you don't start with a San Diego Comic Con or DC. Oh, New York Comic Con, that's another one I've been to. You don't start with one of those. My recommendation would be to start with a smaller one, but not just start with a smaller one. Look at the guest list. Make sure someone who you want to see is going to be there. That'll definitely make you feel better about spending your money. So check the celebrity guest list. Wizard World usually has really great lineups, and again, they're not as chaotic, or they're just better to start with, in my opinion. It's not too overwhelming, but it's also not totally underwhelming, because I've heard some stories about some smaller conventions where people are just like, ugh. No shade, just from what I've heard, because I haven't been to these smaller conventions, so I don't know personally, but I'll take their word for it. So, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, Walker Stalkers and Wizard Worlds are good. I've never been to a Walker Stalker, but obviously they have a lot of Walking Dead guests. But Wizard World does too. They have their fair share. Like I've seen, that was the first time I saw Norman before I even watched the show, was a Wizard World. Denai and Norman were at Wizard World Chicago last year. I think there was another one. I want to say Michael Cutlass was there as well, but he was definitely at C2E2 this year. And Norman does so many conventions, and he's very accessible. So if your favorite is Norman Reedus, you could probably find him. Andrew Lincoln, not so much. The only ones that I know for a fact that he's guaranteed to do are San Diego Comic Con, which I believe is a contractual obligation, and also Walker Stalker Atlanta, because it's right there essentially in his backyard while he's working, and he donates, I believe, all those funds to charity because he's that great of a guy. I expected to see him last year at New York Comic Con, but then he didn't show, which was totally devastating, because I'd been waiting to see Andy. I was like, oh, let's see Andy. And then he wasn't there, and then they tried to ignore the fact that he wasn't on stage, and it was like, come on guys, like what's happening? What's the deal? So yeah, so that happened. But yeah, I'm trying to think of other things. Make sure you have snacks. Snacks are essential. Convention food can be not only not nutritious, well, snacks aren't necessarily nutritious either, so maybe let's say healthy snacks. Yeah, I mean, while you're going to be doing a lot of walking and stuff, probably there's also a lot of sitting and queuing, because you're going to be prepared for lines. There's going to be a line somewhere. I don't care if it's a photo, an auto, getting into a panel. There's going to be a line somewhere for something that you want to do or see. Something to sit on. If you need to sit, if all that standing's too much and the floor is just no good, like for the most part, the floor is terrible for my back. I know I don't like it. Some people bring stools or pillows or inflatables, whatever. Just find something portable that works if you can't swing something at the convention center. Water. Usually they're pretty good about having water out and about, or at least bring a container for water, I should say. Start with a water bottle or a canteen or whatever. And then that way you can refill whenever. Trying to think what else. Make sure you have enough battery power for your camera, your phone, however it is you're taking photos. A lot of people get excited, you want to take photos of everything, so make sure you have your chargers. Make sure everything's charged up to start, but make sure you have your chargers with you as well so you can plug in at some point. So that's just stuff off the top of my head. I'll think of some other things later, I guess. And yeah, if you have any other questions about conventions, about books, my books, or meeting any of the actors or anything, I have tons of stories. I have no shortage of them. So get at me.